All right, everybody, welcome to Speak on It. It's an early Saturday morning. We got Tim One here. We got Dom, and we've never been introduced, but I'm assuming you, John.
Nah, it's James. James.
Okay. So many people in the fantasy league. I'll be forgetting who's who. So we're gonna get right into it. College football on today. Couple of key matchups. The first one I want to start with is Ohio State and TCU. Since this is a lot of Big Ten guys in here. Who you got winning and why? Speak on it, Dom.
I got Ohio State winning it, man. As much as I don't like it, man. I just think they hot right now. Until Dwayne Haskins showed me he had a bad game, man. He is lighting up. He lighting up the league right now. So I think that Ohio State really they're going to win it. One of the top 4 teams in the nation. They got a legit Heisman candidate. The defense is legit. They probably got the number 1 overall pick in college football. They stacked. They loaded. That's why I got Ohio State winning it, man. They just loaded right now. I mean, I think really they ain't gonna lose until conference play, honestly. So that's why I got Ohio State winning.
All right, go ahead, Tim One.
Man, so they're favored by I think 2 touchdowns, and that would be Ohio State. They're playing TCU, and TCU is the best opponent that they've played all year. I get that, and me being a Michigan fan, it's very hard for me to say this, but I think Ohio State is going to win, and I think they're going to win by more than 2 touchdowns. I think they have more talent than TCU. I know they're playing in Texas, but at the same time, I think that Haskins has shown that he can probably get it done on the road, and I mean, this is their biggest test, and this will be their last test without Urban Meyer before he comes back to the sideline. So I think this is just setting up right for them to enter into Big Ten conference play. I think they'll win handily. I'm not going to give you all a score, but I think that they'll win by more than 2 touchdowns.
So they cover the spread.
Yep, that's what I bet.
Okay. Yeah.
Can I say this real quick? One more thing. I say this: if up till now they haven't played like a real top opponent, and TCU defense is solid. If he carves up this defense, he will be the Heisman. He will win the Heisman, and that's Dwayne Haskins. He will win the Heisman if he carves up this defense. This will set him up to be the Heisman.
Can we? I get what you said, but can we not go that far? Can we not go that far?
I'm a Penn State fan, and I don't like it, but I picked him to be the Heisman in the early beginning of the year. I think if he carves them up, man, he gonna win the Heisman.
Can we not go that far? Can we not him? At least not him. Can we go? Can we wait till they start saying it?
I gotta stick to my prediction. I mean, that was the prediction in the beginning of the season. I gotta stick to it.
Very true.
Man, bump that prediction.
James, Ohio State, TCU. Who wins?
I'm gonna go with Ohio State. I like Alabama. I'm not a big college football fan, so my expertise probably won't be. I'll go with Ohio State. I'm gonna go Ohio State just because they're the favorite.
Okay. Well, 3 Ohio States. I'm going TCU. Tamon, don't cue me up. This isn't has anything to do with any bias. I still think Ohio State will win the Big Ten, but I think they're gonna have one hiccup on the resume. I think it'll be tonight, primetime game. TCU is going to be their first real test. So they're going to find out exactly where they need to make the adjustments moving forward tonight. I think the offense will play well enough to win, but their defense so far has not been formidable against lesser opponents. So I could see TCU making a few big plays against that defense, and the defense making one or two big plays at the end to close the deal. Another big game this week is in the SEC with LSU and Auburn. Tim One, who you got winning? LSU and Auburn.
LSU and Auburn. I didn't bet this game, but at the same time, I think they have Auburn favored, and I think LSU is actually going to win this game. I think that talent-wise, they have more talent than Auburn. I think, for the most part, I just think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and I think defense wins, and I think LSU's defense is better than Auburn's. So I'm going to go with LSU.
Dom?
Tim One. I think that it's a lot closer. But I'm not gonna say it. I don't think it's a lot closer. I think Auburn gonna win it. I think it comes down to quarterback play, and I think that Auburn has the more experienced quarterback. And I think that is really what's going to put them over the edge. I do agree that LSU's defense is stacked, but Auburn has the better quarterback play. He's not going to make the mistakes, and they have the better coach. I think that's what's going to separate Auburn and the LSU.
James?
I'm gonna go with LSU. Offense sells tickets, defense wins games, wins championships. So I'm gonna go with LSU.
All right. I'll take LSU on the road. I think Joe Burrow is a pretty decent quarterback. I think he'll make enough plays. I think LSU's defense is going to be stout. I'm still not sold on Auburn quarterback. Not sold on him yet. I can't pronounce his name. What is it? Stidham, whatever.
Stidham.
Whatever. I'm not sold on him. He's hit or miss. But I think LSU has the athletes to contain Auburn's offense. So I'm gonna take LSU in a close 3:30 SEC game.
Now I got a question.
Moving on.
I got a question.
What's up?
With the quarterback from Auburn, do you think that he played well enough to win the game when they played Washington, or do you think it was the defense that won that game?
It was the defense that won that game.
I think that he came out blazing. He came out making plays. He came out making throws, and he played well enough to win the game. So let me ask you this: in reverse, do you think my LSU quarterback, you think it was Burrow who won the game against Miami, or was it the defense?
Definitely their defense.
Burrow didn't make plays. Burrow was like 4 for like 30. So he was like 15 for like 30 something. He didn't make plays. I mean, he made plays when they counted, but he wasn't out here. He's not the reason that they won. I think that early on, Stidham was actually the reason that kept them in the game. Even though they made turnovers, he went down there and capitalized on drives.
And I definitely
No rebuttal to mine.
I see your point. At the same
You got your
time,
mic
though,
mute. You muted.
I see your point. I see your point. I just think that LSU's defense, the way that they dominated that game versus Miami, and not saying that Washington's defense isn't like that, but I mean they scored 21 points barely on a Washington team that we call the best team in the Pac-12 or whatever, and they're supposed to be like the worst conference or one of the worst conferences. So, I mean, and that's the way I kind of measured it up, seeing that. Granted, it was a neutral site game, but I just think talent wise.
I got one word based off your argument. Kentucky.
Against Florida?
Miami lost to Miami. I mean, yeah. I mean, who did Miami just lose to? Sorry, not Kentucky. Who did Miami just play? They hold on. They won. I mean, they won, but it was a tough game.
I'm gonna go in the research department.
Oh, Miami.
Like I said, yeah, I'm in there right now. Yeah.
Miami just beat Savannah State 77-0. Like,
never mind. Never mind. Move on. That was the wrong argument.
Next game, USC versus Texas. Both teams need a big win. Two big brands. First two games that they played, of course, the national championship. Vince Young put on a show. Last year was a shootout. Who needs this win more, USC or Texas?
Can I speak on that first?
Go ahead.
I think who needs it more is Texas. Who's going to win the game is USC. I think Texas, for some reason, has the name appeal, and it seems like for some reason we keep putting them in the rankings, and for the last 2 years they lose to Maryland. And I know I forgot the coach's name, but I know that he's supposed
Tom Herman.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the savior. But listen, if you think about it, he's only been there 2 years, so he's got his first recruiting class in there, which they're probably the majority of them aren't playing yet. So he's still playing with Charlie Strong guys. And for two, I mean, Texas is really just, to me, the hype. They don't play well in big games in the past 4 or 5 years, and USC is going to be a big game. And I don't, even though the freshman quarterback, he's a true freshman from USC, JT Daniels, I still don't see them losing to Texas. So, especially how they played Stanford, and I think Stanford is a quality team last week.
I think I agree with Taman on one of his points that Texas is a big brand, number 2 brand in college football. I think that they are. I think they're still figuring out their identity. Texas is still figuring out identity. Who's going to be the quarterback? What they want to run. He's still trying to put his stamp on his team. But I do think in Texas that they get a staple win against USC tonight, and this is the game that projects them back into college football, the ranks. I mean, like you said, we do keep putting them up there, and I don't think they really deserved it. But I think this is the game that propels them back into, okay, Texas is back. This is the staple game that they need, and this is the staple game that they will win.
All right, James, anything?
Yeah, I think like everybody said, Texas they need this win more than USA. So I think because of that, they're desperate, and I think they're going to come out and they're going to give it their all, and I think they're going to beat USA.
I think USC needs this game more for the sake of the Pac-12. UCLA is still a year or two away with Chip Kelly, and then you really only have Stanford or Washington. So, and they're both in the North. The Pac-12 South, I'm not really sure what they are. So I think USC needs this game a little bit more, just for the sake of the Pac-12. I am going to take Texas at home to win the game. I think Tom Herman is the right guy for the job, and I just think that being at home gives them a little bit of advantage. But I think USC needs that game a little bit more than Texas does.
You don't think the Pac?
Moving on.
You don't think the Pac-12 improved their status when they beat when Arizona State beat Michigan State?
When Arizona State beat Michigan State, I told you, like, I didn't feel like that was a fair game. Like 11 o'clock start time for an East Coast team, man. Like that's a real huge disadvantage to an East Coast team starting at 11 o'clock, man. That's super late. So I didn't really put too much stock in it. Michigan State played absolutely horrible. Like, I think if you play that at a fair time, I think Michigan State beats Arizona State. But an 11 o'clock start time for an East Coast team is crazy.
Okay. Point taken.
All right. What about Vanderbilt and Notre Dame? Notre Dame kind of stunk the joint up last week. They're still a big brand. They need a statement win after playing bad last week, and they get an SEC team coming in that needs a win as well to give some sort of respect to the SEC East outside of Georgia, because right now it doesn't really look like there's any other team that can even compete with Georgia in the SEC East. Who you got, Vanderbilt or Notre Dame?
This is gonna be quick. Notre Dame gonna smoke Vanderbilt. They're gonna smoke them, especially because Wimbush had a bad game last week. They're gonna smoke them. I think Notre Dame's defense is better. Their offense is better. Even though Vanderbilt is 2-0, I think that there's too much talent on Notre Dame, and I think that they're actually going to smoke them. They're going to be they're going to beat them by more than 2 touchdowns.
Upset alert! Upset alert! Vanderbilt is going to upset Notre Dame. Notre Dame, to me, showed 2 things. For one, we play very horrible. When I say we, I mean Michigan. And for 2, they don't show up week to week. And with them being favored, I think they might try, just like last week, they sputtered against Ball State. And I think they're going to sputter against an SEC team. Pat Shermer's son, don't know his first name, sorry son, but he looks like a decent pocket passer. And I think that they're going to actually win the game. Not even cover the spread, but actually win the game. And I did bet that, by the way.
Okay. James?
Notre Dame. I can't stand Notre Dame. Just like I can't stand Penn State. But Notre Dame's going to win.
So you can't say I'm
being biased, Tom. Can't say I'm being biased. You know I can't stand Notre Dame.
I didn't say you was being biased. Yeah, you said something about Penn State. We wasn't talking about Penn State, but I'm I hope we do the Alabama Ole Miss segment game.
I'm taking Vanderbilt. Only because their coach needs a big win, man. He needs a big win, and it's got a few weeks before he played Georgia, and that's not where he's gonna get it. So he needs a big win, and the only other chance he got at a big win is this week at Notre Dame. So I'm gonna take them simply because of that. Dom, you ask and you shall receive. Alabama Ole Miss, and don't talk crazy, man. Don't talk crazy.
Listen, I because I spoke about it in our last podcast, and I said that Alabama will be Ole Miss because of quarterback play. Even though Ole Miss has the best wide receiver core in the nation, I think that with Shane Patterson being gone, man, listen, I'm taking Ole Miss. I'm gonna take Ole Miss to beat Alabama. I'm gonna take Ole Miss to beat Alabama because of that wide receiver core. They find a way somehow, some way. Looking at the stats, the running back. I mean, he rushed for 100 yards a game, 4 touchdowns on 31 carries. He averaging 10 yards a carry. Scotty Phillips. Ole Miss solid. You know what I mean? Passing game solid, running game solid. Like you said, A.J. Brown's a monster. Alabama has no answer for him at corner. No answer for A.J. Brown at corner. They feed the beast with that two-headed monster, with Scotty Phillips, with A.J. Brown. They win a close one, 3-point game. In Tuscaloosa.
Who's favored? Who's favored? Do
you know who's favorite?
I'm sorry.
Are you serious?
What's the spread? Sorry.
What's the spread?
It's probably a 3-touchdown game. Let me look at
the spread. The spread is 23.
Oh, yeah, 23. The spread's 23.
Okay. Ole Miss covers the spread, but Alabama wins. I think this is where we're gonna find out that Tua Lolo, whatever, is gonna be the guy. I think Jalen Hurts, he might as well transfer. I don't understand why Nick Saban just doesn't tell him that, but that's neither here nor there. But I think that, I mean, we're not going to see Jalen Hurts. We're going to see him because it's going to be a close game. We may actually see him one series, and then when it doesn't go the way that it's supposed to go, they're going to ride out Tua, and that's going to be the starter for the rest of the season. Man. But I think game.
Miss got a Hawaiian quarterback too.
Well, shout out to Hawaii for putting out quarterbacks. Marcus Mariota.
I don't know if he Hawaiian. His name is Ta'amu. So
this man going to just judge him off his name. So I guess I'm from Haiti, huh?
Okay, he Hawaiian. Maybe.
Nah,
but listen,
from the Bahamas. That has nothing to do with my
name. James?
He a Bama fan, man. You know what
I really have to answer this. Come on, man. We're going to go through this every week. Alabama's going to lose. They're going undefeated. They're going to win it again this year.
They're not going to go undefeated. They always have a hiccup. This is it.
But not this year. Not this year.
James, did it cover the spread?
No. 23 points, no. 23, right?
And it's not in Tuscaloosa. It's in Mississippi.
It don't matter. Is it 23, right? 23?
Yep. Yes, 23.
No. They're not covering 23, no.
My man, senior Jordan, 784-yard pass and 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The running back is averaging 10 yards a carry. A.J. Brown is a monster. They win this game.
Did they play William U?
Who?
It don't matter who they played. They out here beating whoever in front of them. That's Alabama. Alabama out here playing William U.
Yeah, but they doing what they supposed to be doing. Like they gave up 27 points to basically a freshman quarterback Tech, and then gave up 41 points to Southern Illinois. They don't want to see no parts of Tua. Alabama absolutely.
They also beat them by 20. They out here destroying. Listen, they beat Texas Tech, and Texas Tech quarterback solid. They beat Texas Tech 41-27.
This is optional in the Big 12. So giving up like 47 is what they do in the Big 12. But giving up 41 points to Southern Illinois.
I just said, listen, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a shootout, and I think Alabama. I think that Ole Miss wins it. I think that it's at Ole Miss, and it's going to be a shootout. And Alabama always have a hiccup, and this is not like, and they don't lose. It ain't like they out here losing to the LSU's, but Auburn. But they have a hiccup somewhere, and I think this is the hiccup.
Just let it be.
But you know who Alabama struggles against? They normally struggle against a quarterback that's a dual threat. And I don't think I can't pronounce his name. I don't want to butcher it. I don't think he's the dual threat. I don't think he's the dual threat to give Alabama's defense fits.
Last year,
I don't think so.
Last year they got beat by a pocket quarterback.
Who?
Auburn.
No, instead of him run a little bit.
But he's basically a pocket quarterback.
Nah, he's not in Gus Malzahn's offense. He's got to be able to tuck that ball and run.
Do we really see a team actually beating Alabama, man? Like, are we really? You really?
Yes, I don't think Alabama is the best team in the nation.
Okay.
Until somebody beat them, I'm picking them.
I think two things. Listen, I think last year Georgia proved that they were a better team. I think coaching came into play where they sat Jalen Hurts and they wasn't prepared for Tua to come in, and that kind of shook everything up. I think Georgia's a better team than Alabama. I think Clemson's a better team than Alabama. I think that Alabama shouldn't even been in the national championship game. They put them in there because of politics.
Well, that sounds like a lot of anger on your heart.
Okay.
Alabama.
How they lose the SEC and then put them in there?
Because they were still winning the country.
They weren't. They lost.
That's the way the committee is supposed to do. I don't care if they lost or not. They were still one of the 4 best teams in the country.
They lost to Auburn. They put Auburn in there.
Until they made the criteria that you have to win your conference championship in order to get in the playoff, and you're just going to take the 4 best teams, it's going to be like that. Until they make a true criteria, and for teams to get in, they have to do this, and this to get in. It's going to be like that.
Hey, Dom, you might not be allowed to enter Tuscaloosa. The way you talk, you might want to stay away from all Alabama.
Good.
Except
for around that Auburn campus.
Good, man. Listen, I'll be at headquarters when our podcast pop off and we out here. Traveling to the championship games. I'll be in the headquarters. Y'all just
you can't
just video chat me in. Listen, last year, Georgia was clearly the best team. They was dominating Alabama, dominating them. I think that Georgia actually lost the game. Alabama didn't win the game. Georgia lost the game. They had mislaps. They played poorly defensively in the second half. I think Georgia is the better team. I also think that
they were the better team, but they don't have the same weapons that they had a year ago.
They lost 2 backs. They lost their 2 running backs.
I mean, they weren't just any 2 running backs. Like
they got Evander's son back there now.
I still think Georgia's a really good team, But years like last year, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be like this year, next year. It's just begging for expansion.
I agree. I think that they should. I think it should be more, and I think that I think they should put in. It should be. I think the committee that little whole 4 playoff thing committee thing. It's still politics. They still put whoever they want to put in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because first of all, the math is wrong. But I'm not even gonna get into the whole debate about that. I can go on and on about that. However, we're gonna move. We're gonna talk about one more game in college football, and then we're gonna move on. It's a trap game for me. This was Oklahoma's only hiccup a year ago versus Iowa State. Kyler Murray looks like he is the real deal. College football teams seem to be very upset with Major League Baseball for allowing him to come back and not go and play minor league baseball. So, do Iowa State pull off the upset again this year, or is Oklahoma offense miss Rodney Anderson? That looks like he's done for the year with an ACL injury. Do Oklahoma still have enough to go ahead and get the job done?
Yes. I think they beat. I think they beat Iowa State. Looking at their schedule, I can tell you 2 games that I probably think that they can lose. I think one of them they will lose, and possibly 2 of them they can lose. November 23rd, Will Greer comes to. Well, they go to West Virginia to play Will Greer. I think he lights them up. And I think the game against TCU.
Well, I think last year they didn't see it coming. I think last year's Iowa State team was a lot better than the team that they got this year. Especially if you tuned into the Iowa Bowl, Iowa versus Iowa State last week, they only put up 3 points, and that's not going to be enough. And when I look at games, especially like I try to look at the teams that they've played and see like if the team that they're playing is better or worse than the teams that they've already played. So for instance, this game I looked at is Iowa better than UCLA, and I would think Iowa is better than UCLA. So we can kind of scratch that, but at the same time, I think the way is UCLA better than Iowa State. I would actually put them on the same level. So the same performance that they had last week. Granted, they're missing Mr. Anderson. I think they have enough in the backfield to more than like. I mean, they're if I'm not mistaken, they're like favored by like 4 or 5 touchdowns. So I think Vegas gets it right, and this is not a hiccup, and they'll win and cover.
Okay. I think Oklahoma blows the doors off Iowa State. Even without Ronnie Anderson. I'm not gonna put too much stock into last week because that was a rivalry game with Iowa, and that game they usually play each other really, really tough. But I am interested to see in Oklahoma's defense going against Iowa State's running back Montgomery. That's going to be an interesting matchup. But I do think Oklahoma covers and wins huge, and Gummer is gone again just that fast. We're gonna switch it up. Had some recent news. It's been real quiet in the NBA lately, but Russell Westbrook had what appears to be a minor procedure on his knee, but they're saying he's going to miss the entire preseason and possibly a few games, the first few games of the regular season. With that being said, does that hurt Oklahoma City? Does that change your mind? Are you a little worried now with Oklahoma State and how the season may play out with him getting this knee surgery so close to the start of training camp?
One thing I'll if I could speak on it first. One thing I wondered, and I've seen a trend, is that for some reason when it gets closer to the season, guys want to get stuff done or stuff cleaned up, and and I see it in the NFL sometimes. I see it in the NBA sometimes, where it's a matter of like, when did this issue happen? Like, was this issue that you could have got done right after the season? Like, I know I definitely seen you in Instagram videos hooping it up with people. So, like, when did this actually happen? Then it's going to make teams think, like, okay, should we limit you guys having these runs that that you guys have at UCLA, Rico Hines, playing in the Drew League, all these pro-am leagues? Like, are they going to start limiting that? But as far as the Thunder is concerned, I'm not too worried, being as though that, I mean, I think even if he misses a good chunk, which would be 15 games, I think that they'll be okay with Paul George at the helm. Of course, they won't be what people consider as the second or third best team in the West, but I think they can come out of that 10-5 or 9-6, and I think they'll still be okay going into the season. So.
It's an 82 game season. But so like just going off what Taman said, right? We'll say their first 15 games, right? And mind you, they started slow last year. Well, they started out hot last year, then they were slow. But I'm gonna just go their first 15 games. First game, right out of the gate, they're gonna lose with or without Westbrook. They play the Warriors. Second game, they play the Clippers. I think that they can lose that without Westbrook. Kings, that's a win. Then they play the Celtics. That's a loss. They can lose that with or without Westbrook. Without Westbrook, they're definitely going to lose. So that's a loss. They're 1-3 right now. The Suns, Devin Booker is not going to be there. So I can say that's a swing game. That can be either way. They play the Thunder. They play the Clippers again. I got that as a loss without Westbrook. Hornets, that's a win. Wizards without Westbrook, that's a loss. Pelicans without Westbrook, or with or without Westbrook, that can be a loss. That can be a win or a loss. Tamar, you want to say something?
Yeah, I do. Who do the Clippers have where it's a guaranteed loss?
Without Westbrook?
No, I'm sorry. Without Westbrook, but who's with the Clippers in order for them to win?
Tobias Harris. They got Tobias Harris coming back. They got the point guard. What's the point guard name? They got Avery Bradley.
The matter that you're stuttering.
They got Patrick Beverly.
Me know.
Lou Will.
Know. You only named J. Cole. That was it.
They have a solid team. Defensively, they have a solid team, and without Westbrook, I just don't see them getting past the Clippers. Huh?
The Thunder have a solid team too. They still got Paul George. Like, is he not all NBA? Like, he had the Pacers going into the playoffs every year. So I don't.
That's the East.
I get that, but come on, the Clippers. All right, go ahead.
The Clippers was fighting for a spot until Lou Williams went down in the West. And Tobias Harris went down. They had no Patrick Beverly. They had no Avery Bradley. They may not have that big star, but they got pieces. They have a team. Okay, but okay, like I said, that could be a swing game. That Clippers game could be a swing game too.
Well, they got two games. They split.
Okay, let's say they split. They about 3-6 right now. They play the Wizards without him. That's a loss. They play the Pelicans without him. That's a loss. They play the Cavs without him. That's a win. They play the Rockets without him. Play the Mavs. That's a win. Thunder. That's a win. Knicks. That's a win. Suns a win. So in the first 15 games, I can see them going about 7-8, 6-9. They play the Nuggets. They play the Warriors twice. So I can see them going about 6-9, but 5-10. And I think a lot of people was hyped on Paul George. I don't know. I don't know if Paul George is that guy that can carry the team.
He did it in Indiana.
I agree with you, Dom.
He did it in Indiana. What did he do? But man, he was constantly a 7th seed, and he constantly got knocked out in the first round. I mean, and that's in the East. What did he do?
I'm just saying he let.
What did he do? Like I'm not.
He
let him
team.
wear.
That's what I'm. Okay, so really,
where did they go? Though?
They didn't go anywhere. I get that, but we're only talking about a 10, maybe 15, if that span, because they said he may not miss any games anyway. So it's really just, wishful thinking for the West. But
I understand, understandable. But I'm saying that I think chemistry played a big part in them last year.
Shout out to Billy Donovan.
I think. Listen, I think they're a better team this year. They do have Dennis Schroeder to fill in if Russell Westbrook isn't there, but I think that the other teams have gotten better also. Like the Kings. We automatically look at the Kings and say that's a loss, but the Kings got better. We automatically look at the Suns and say, oh, that's a loss. The Suns got a Trevor Ariza. The Suns got DeAndre Ayton. The Suns they got a better team. Am I right? We automatically look at who else we looked at? Dallas, the Clippers, the Hornets. Even though the Hornets are terrible, like we automatically look at them and say that they can easily be wins without Russell Westbrook, especially when Russell Westbrook is the offense. He is the offense.
My hands is up like Bill Cosby. You got it.
Well, I think if he misses training camp, of course, he's going to miss the preseason. And I think they were going to be a team. In my opinion, I thought they would be the 3rd or 4th best team in the West. But if he's gonna miss time at the beginning, then you don't know what's gonna go. Go forth as far as his knee is concerned. Later on down the road, I might have to step back a little bit. I might have to step back. And the only reason I felt as though they were gonna be a 3rd or 4th seed was because of the addition of Dennis Schroeder. Like I thought Dennis Schroeder gave them that solid backup point guard off the bench. Nothing against Raymond Felton and everything like that. Not saying that he is also getting older. But I just felt though Dennis Schroeder made them that much better. I'm not even going to go into the addition by subtraction. Hello, but
why? I was hoping we got through this without even mentioning.
I do got one question for Tamando.
Come on, man.
I do got one. I do got. It's not about Melo. It's not about Melo. It's because you was defending the Thunder, and okay. I just want to solidify my point. Right, Russell Westbrook. He drives. He hands the ball. He's the offense.
I had my hands up, and now you want to hit me again?
I'm not beating you down. I'm not beating you down. I'm just asking a question. I'm just asking a question. I'm just throwing it out there. because that's the topic right now, right? Russ is the offense, right? And I don't see a shooter that they added. I don't see a shooter that they added to the team. So Paul George, when Russell Westbrook was driving, Paul George was that shooter, and Melo was. Now, if Paul George is the creator, he's kicking it out to Robertson. He's kicking it out to Schroeder, to
Corey Brewer.
Like who? I think they did get a stretch four. I forget who they got. But they don't have. It's like they still don't have no shooters.
And I get that. I think this team is
so without Russ, a whole lot harder.
I think this team would be more built on defense. The way that the roster set up is more so of defending and giving the ball to, like you said, Russ and PG. So I mean, I think that if they win games, it's going to be defensively. They did add Noel. They re-signed the young boy Grant. And like you said, Schroeder, he D's up as well at times. So, I mean, they didn't add too much offensive firepower. It was more so defensive end. And I think that was really where they lacked last year. And can we leave it at that? Can we just leave it at that and go to the next subject?
All right, we'll move on there. We'll move on. Big fight coming up tonight. Canelo, Triple G, Part 2. Teddy Atlas says some stuff last is hilarious to me.
Oh, you heard it too?
Because like I watched the Top Rank on ESPN. I watch it every week. There be some good fights on there. But Teddy Atlas said that Canelo, but it was so weird. It was kind of contradicting because he was like, Canelo looks considerably smaller. It looks like he was on PEDs. It looks like he's trying to play mind games with Triple G, trying to intimidate him. But then he still picked him to win the fight. Like it was weird. It was like you're saying that he looks smaller. He looks like he's scared. He looks like he's not as confident, but you still picked him to win the fight. Teddy Atlas was all over the. Me personally, I thought Canelo looked like Canelo, like with or without the contaminated meat or whatever it was that caused him to fail the drug test fight. Again, we kind of split on who's going to win this win. Canelo or Triple G? Who needs?
Hold on,
Canelo.
Before Dom speaks, let me put it on because it's coming. Hold on.
No. Bias alert.
I'm gonna run it back one more time.
Bias alert. It's a bias alert.
Go ahead.
I don't think I'm biased. I like Triple G also, but I think Canelo needs the win more. Canelo needs to fight more because he is the brand. He is the face. It's like he is. He's boxing right now. With Floyd being retired, he is boxing right now. With Triple G being the machine, with him being the knockout artist, with him, I'm not really having it's not really having the scandals or anything like that. He's a cleaner fighter. I think that Canelo, with all the stuff being thrown at him, with him, his name being slandered and everything like that, I think that he needs to fight. And plus, like I said, I think if he loses this, you can no longer say that he's the face.
Okay.
Come on.
Here we go.
Who needs it?
Huh? What'd you say?
I said, who needs this dub?
Who needs it more? I think that actually Gennady needs it more because the whole knock on his career is that he hasn't beaten anybody um, that has been a champion except for David Lemieux and Danny Jacobs. And Danny Jacobs was a closer fight than people thought. Um, so this is something for him because he's been the feared guy in the middleweight division that quote unquote nobody would want to fight him for the longest time, and that's one of the reasons why they made this fight in the first place when the first time around. Um, I think even if Canelo loses, it doesn't hurt his brand because he's losing to a reputable champion. Um, the last fight, I know how the boxing game goes, but Miss Boyd that had to fight 118, 110. I hope that check cleared from Golden Boy. I hope it cleared. I hope she paid whatever debt she had, whatever the case may be, because there's no way in the world he won 10 rounds at all. Contaminated meat or not, I think Gennady's going to win. I think that he's the bigger man. I think that he really wants to prove to people that, like, I tried to entertain y'all the last time, and then y'all try to screw me. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock this young boy out and leave it at that. To where now, who wants to face me in the middleweight division? Either way, it's good for boxing. Canelo is pretty much the only pay-per-view star. Manny isn't doing pay-per-view numbers, and that would be the next, I guess, biggest thing. But I mean, it's big. Actually, I think this is actually more. This fight is more important for HBO than anybody. The reason why I say that is because both Gennady and Canelo's contracts are up after this fight with HBO, and these, besides Sergey Kovalev, who just lost, this fight is big for HBO because Top Rank seems like they're moving with ESPN and trying to make the fights with them. And this is one of the only relationships that they really have for boxing. And HBO has been a staple in boxing. So, I mean, if the grand scheme of things, I think HBO this is big for them. But I think this is bigger for Gennady because Canelo is young and he can actually have more bigger matches, whereas Gennady's like 36, so he's on his way out.
Okay, let me ask this question. The narrative going into this has been Mexican Warrior, and yesterday we seen, if you didn't see the press conference and the weigh-in, you know, like Canelo got a little aggressive, kind of pushed Triple G. I personally think that it's in Canelo's best interest to box and not turn this into a test of chins. If he stands toe to toe and doesn't box, can he win a fight and not a boxing match?
No.
I would say
the reason why he's stuttering. I'm torn. The reason why he's stuttering is because he's biased. I said no flat out, and he said because he knows deep down inside it's a no, but he can't get it through his esophagus into his mouth and actually say
it. It's tough. Listen, has he been knocked down? Has he been knocked out?
Oh, okay. We're gonna go there. We're gonna go there. Who has He fought
So-
50-year-old Shane Mosley. He fought 45-year-old
Oh
Floyd
my
Mayweather
goodness!
with weak
You
hands.
just talked about Triple G's.
Neither one of the resumes are great.
Listen,
That
Triple
great, but
G's resume
it's
is
also
the way that it.
in the third division.
Triple G's resume, the way that it is because nobody wanted to fight him. Canelo's was I'm gonna fight all the old
Let's bring.
champions, so I can say I beat
I'll
champions.
fight. Can he beat G standing toe to toe and not moving, sticking and boxing? Can he win? Trying to mano a mano.
Yeah,
I'll say
Dom.
this. I have to say yes because I said that the only way I think somebody wins this fight is by knockout, and I said that Canelo will knock him out. So I have to say, but it'd be tough. I have to say yes because I said Canelo wins in a knockout. but this fight, toe to toe,
I
the
appreciate
boy
you
grown
staying.
man.
I appreciate you staying true to your word, and that I think that's probably the only reason why you saying what you saying. So
The boy machine.
We're gonna segue into the NFL. I want to touch on something real quick before we get into the Bengals and the Ravens game on Thursday. And I want to talk about the possibility of Rodgers maybe on the shelf for at least a game. With the knee sprain, they're saying that he could play, but Aaron Rodgers at 75% is probably still the third or fourth best quarterback in the NFL. But if Aaron Rodgers was to miss multiple games, I do believe that the Packers would be picking in the top 5 if he were to miss too many games. I think the team is that bad. With that being said, is Mike McCarthy simply a product and the only reason he has a job is Aaron Rodgers?
I'll go. I'll go on record to say yes. I think he's had the pleasure of having the best quarterback in the NFL on his team, and we've seen. Okay, I'm not gonna say that. The quarterback. Who did they? Who's the backup last year that they just traded? Brent Hundley. I don't think that he's that bad of a quarterback.
Deshaun Kaiser.
No, they got Deshaun Kaiser now. Brent Hundley, I think it's he. The offense is set around Aaron Rodgers, and you could tell that it's set around Aaron Rodgers' strengths. So you don't have another offense or anything in place if somebody else comes into play. That in itself, I give credit to Doug Peterson and what he did on the Super Bowl run, to where he catered the offense to Nick Foles' strengths. And when Hundley came in, it didn't seem like the offense was catered toward his strengths. It looked like an Aaron Rodgers offense that he was just inputted into. And the same thing went for Deshaun Kaiser in the few snaps that he had against Chicago. So I think McCarthy will have to figure something out. I mean, Aaron has been leading his franchise, and we've seen last year how without just that one player, how big of a difference it can make. So I definitely think that Aaron Rodgers is the only reason why Mike McCarthy still has a job.
So I'll piggyback. I disagree. I agree and disagree. If you take, with the exception of Tom Brady, if you take and clearly well, I ain't gonna say Carson Wentz because Carson Wentz injury happened later on in the season. We already had everything locked up. But if you take, I'll just say we took Peyton Manning off the Colts. They were the worst team in football. They were perennial playoff teams and contenders. They took Peyton Manning off, and they were trash. If you take Adrian Peterson off the Vikings when he was in his prime, they were trash. You take Drew Brees off of the Saints, they're trash. I think that if you give Mike McCarthy time to structure a team, when he knows that Aaron Rodgers isn't coming back, then that's when we'll actually see can he coach or not. That is why I say because we can't really say that he's trash or his best player is gone. Anybody's team in football, especially being a quarterback, the team's going to look different. The team's going to look terrible.
I think Sean Payton is a better coach than Mike McCarthy.
You think what?
I think Sean Payton is a better coach than Mike McCarthy. I think the Saints will still be okay without not saying like.
And I think Sean Payton. I think Sean Payton is a better coach than Mike McCarthy, but I've seen Sean Payton go 4-12 with Drew Brees. I've seen Sean Payton go 6-10 with Drew Brees. So I think it's tough to say he can coach when he has arguably the best quarterback of all time and arguably the best quarterback in football right now, and the offense is basically built on his greatness. So the jury's out. I mean, it's still out until we see what he can do constructing a team when Aaron Rodgers is gone. That's just my opinion on.
All right. You want to speak on Mike McCarthy job?
I agree. I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers is probably one of the best quarterbacks of all time. And the NFL was a quarterback-driven league. So we don't know how good or great of a coach McCarthy is until he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers anymore. I mean, let's look at Bill Belichick. Before Tom Brady, he wasn't the best coach. So until McCarthy doesn't anymore, we don't know how great he is.
All right, T.
I got you got to give him an opportunity because his career with Aaron Rodgers has been so great. Once Aaron Rodgers' tenure is over, you get something else together. The one thing I do disagree with Wentz and the Eagles, and when Wentz went down and over, just like the Packers, right? Like the Packers were a playoff team. And even when Rodgers came back, he put them right back in contention to where they were almost made the playoffs again, right? But we quarterback winning the Super Bowl, and time that's ever happened on the backup quarterback. I'm going to say that was Doug Peterson. When us came in, we saw him achy. He looked garbage, and this sudden, due to coaching and put him in the best, he looked like a super. That was in coaching. So maybe Mike McCarthy is a coach that needs his quarterback from the beginning and be able to build a whole game plan around him and not be able to do it on the fly. But we've seen coaches do it before. Let's talk about Bill Belichick. Tom Brady was a backup quarterback who came in for another really good quarterback in Drew Bledsoe. Am I right? So
You're right.
this happens all the time. You can't put it all on the best player going down because that happens too often, and you got to have that next man up mentality. And you can't overcome your best player going down. How good of a coach are you?
Well, see, this is what I say
Hey,
too.
can I say something
The
real
next
quick?
man up mentality.
Can I say something real
Yeah,
quick?
go ahead, Tamar.
Hey, T, how the Eagles end up in this conversation?
Yeah.
I'm just messing with T. Go ahead.
Irrelevant. Conversation, was it not?
Well, this is what I'll say, T, real quick. If we had to go the whole season with Nick Foles, we wouldn't have been in the playoffs. We wouldn't have won the Super Bowl. So Nick Foles came in and he served. The defense carried him for the first 2 games and the first half in the playoffs against the Falcons, and the defense carried him in Minnesota. He balled out in Minnesota too. If Nick Foles was, we would not have made the playoffs. What I want to say is why the best player theory works is you look at Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham, they're in the playoffs. You take Odell Beckham out, they're picking number 2, and they're picking number 2. And Rodgers off. I mean, you take Andrew. They're trash. They're terrible. You take Ezekiel Elliott off the Cowboys. They're terrible. Ezekiel Elliott comes back.
Hold on, man. I get that. I understand. I don't mean to cut you off, but same point over and over again. And I really don't want to keep going back, but that's all I have relevant and the most recent that we watched / down. And I'm just putting this on devil's advocate because do I believe that Nick Foles could have got us to the playoffs? Do I believe he's the quarterback, the caliber of quarterback to get us to the playoffs and have home field advantage? Probably not. But you cannot say that without giving Doug Peterson the benefit of the doubt based on what he has done. We had a weakness at left tackle, and he disguised that, with help. That's coaching. Am I right or wrong?
That is coaching.
You have that linebacker. I mean, this is coaching. I bring it away from the Eagles. Let's talk about Bill Belichick again. He Brady as a rookie, and if I'm not mistaken, he took him to the Super Bowl. Am I right or wrong?
Second year, he took him to the Super Bowl. Yep, but that was more of his defense. That wasn't Tom Brady. When Tom Brady started balling, when they lost Tom Brady, they missed the playoffs. The only year in that tenure that they missed the playoffs when Tom Brady went down.
But they went 11-5. Like, we can't say they missed the playoffs because they was trash.
No, I didn't say they were trash, but they missed the playoffs when Tom Brady wasn't there. If Tom Brady in the playoffs, right or wrong.
11-5, we don't know that. What was he gonna make them 12-4? We don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, that would have been the difference again.
And some of that you got to put on a good coach around. So,
listen, I think the argument with the Eagles, that's a one-off. That is like an anomaly. Like when your best player goes down, and you said what, Biff?
That's like the exception to the rule,
right? When your best player goes down, you're still able to go and actually win the Super Bowl. Not just stay afloat, but they actually won without their best. Like a lot of their best players.
The Steelers.
The best player on the Steelers is to me is Le'Veon. However, the most important player on the Steelers is Ben Roethlisberger.
The best player on the Steelers is Le'Veon, right? James Conner stepped in last week, and we didn't miss Le'Veon.
That was one game, but I'll tell you this: They will not win
That
the
was
Super
an-
Bowl without Le'Veon.
I think that was an attest to James Conner.
We
'Cause
don't know that.
people act
That's
like
yet to be
James
seen.
Conner wasn't the ACC Player of the Year before he beat cancer. So
No, he was a
like,
13. He was a third round pick. Like he was solid. But that's why I say that all is running backs more so offensive line really is really what dictates the running back. But if Ben Roethlisberger goes down, they're not winning nothing. I'll tell you that.
All right, we're gonna leave it at there. We're gonna move on. Speaking of the AFC North, there was a game on Thursday night. The Ravens and Bengals. Andy Dalton had a big night.
Man.
Four touchdowns, 24, 42, 265. Joe Flacco, 32, 56. Also threw 2 picks. He also lost. The Ravens had no running game whatsoever. So, what's your takeaway? Are the Ravens who we thought they were, and are the Bengals a little better than we thought they were?
can I go first? Can I speak on it first?
Go ahead.
I think I don't think that we can say there wasn't really much to take away from this game, in my opinion, because the 28 points that were scored was all in the first half. And what was the final score?
34-23.
So they got outscored like after that. And so I mean, granted the final score doesn't depict like dominance or anything, but really I think that it just looked like the Ravens got off to a slow start and they didn't have enough at the end to actually win the game, because they couldn't. They had to stray away from the actual game plan and actually start throwing the ball a lot more, which put a lot of pressure on Joe Flacco, which in turn, some bad things may happen. I think the Bengals are still the Bengals. I still think they're a mediocre team. I think both teams are mediocre teams, so I think that it really didn't say too much about anything. I think when both of those teams actually go up against the better two teams in the division, which would be the Browns and the Steelers, that's when we'll actually see like who these teams really are and what their talent wise. But I mean, the Bengals at 2-0, that's not nothing. I still don't see them going to the playoffs.
Okay. I'll speak next. I apologize to AJ Green and Andy Dalton because in the beginning of the season, I thought that's the reason why. Even though I picked the Bengals to, I think, go 8-8, 7-9, something like that. But I think that they were getting older. I think that they weren't gelling like that. And what they did in that first half against the Ravens, who was a top 10 defense, they're still good. I think that if anything, I thought that his Bengals are a little bit better than what I gave them credit for. Joe Mixon is solid. The offensive line is revamped. That defense is, and Andy Dalton and AJ Green are better. And they found another receiver in Tyler Boyd, who was balling.
Can I ask you something,
They
Doug?
got three. They got. Yes.
Now, what would you consider the most important position on defense?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What would be the most important position on defense?
You breaking up to mine.
What would be the most important position on defense?
most important. To me, I don't think there is a most important part on defense. I think that they go hand in hand. I think that if you have shut down corners, that it helps the pass rush, and if you have a great pass rush, it helps. So I can't say that there is a most important part on defense, but I think the Bengals at all levels have stars at all levels. I'll say that.
The reason why I asked that was because I think the most important position is the Mike linebacker, the middle linebacker, because he makes the calls, he makes the reads and everything. And C.J. Mosley went down in like the third play of the game, and I think that played a part in how the Ravens defense played.
I can't say that because that's Bursick there. I think
he's not
suspended for the
a
first
middle
4 games.
linebacker though. Vontez is an outside linebacker. He's not a middle linebacker. C.J. Mosley makes all the calls. C.J. makes all the checks, everything. And then when you put the second guy in, it's different because you're a short week at already. So that's a disadvantage. And then arguably your best player on defense goes down at the position that he makes all the calls. I think that played a big part too.
Listen, I can't listen. I can't, and not to keep bringing up the Eagles, but our Mike went down last year too. We missed a beat. Our best linebacker we missed in the first game. We missed a beat. I think that the pass rush, regardless, you can't tell me who the middle linebacker is for the Rams. They got a nasty pass rush, and they got a beast secondary. They go hand in hand. I don't care who your middle linebacker is. If you have that nasty pass rush, it doesn't matter. It could be me, you. It could be us four out there.
They are not C.J. Mosley though. C.J. Mosley is arguably the best player.
Who's not C.J. Mosley?
Let's ask a Ravens fan.
Listen.
Let's ask a Ravens fan. Biv, who's the best player on your defense?
C.J. Mosley.
It's C.J. Mosley. I don't think you have to ask anybody. Anybody will say that. However, this one, I think we may have been the only team that returned all 11 starters. So like him being out should not have affected the way that we play defense in all facets. Cover AJ Green. They ain't got nothing to do with C.J. Mosley making calls. We couldn't cover the boy Tyler Boyd. That's not nothing to do with C.J. Mosley. We couldn't get to Andy Dalton. He was not sacked all night long. That's C.J. Mosley making calls. I feel what you're saying, Tamon, but our defense still didn't play like a top 10 defense without C.J. The others still were lacking. Secondary wasn't there. CJ's not a pass rusher. He's more of a coverage guy, and he stuffs athletic ability. But
and because of those two big boys up front, and Mike Pierce and Brandon Williams. But I'll say this. I want to say this. AJ Green didn't discriminate at all. all corners got work.
He get it. So
he didn't discriminate at all. They put
equal opportunity employer. Everybody can get.
We keep talking about defense of the Ravens. AJ Green and Floyd, opens all that up. I think Dom spoke on Joe seconds, but let's be real. When you got that can come in a game changing running your whole offense, so I think maybe we were sleeping and the Ravens were sleeping on this Bengals offense, and they got woke up this week. I'm not going to jump the gun. This was a division game, played pretty tough. So we still gotta watch both these teams do down the stretch. But I really believe that Joe Mixon was a game changer because the game changed when Mixon went out. You know what I mean? Once Mixon went out, the pace of the game changed. If they don't have to worry about the run game as much, then they don't have to load the box. They got more people out there. That's Floyd and Green.
Hey, I tell you what though.
I'll say this.
The running game for the Eagles was making them a threat. Is giving Andy Dalton another defense.
I tell you one thing.
You can speak or
my just listen. John Harbaugh, if you're listening, give Alex Collins the ball at the goal line and not Buck Allen. All right, that's all I got to say. Go ahead.
I'll say this, right? Joe Mixon was there last year, and the offense doesn't matter. So was Kareem Hunt. So was Alvin Kamara.
Everybody develops at the same level.
No, but this is the point. This is the point I'm gonna make. This is the point I wanted to make. That offensive line was revamped in the offseason. So even with Joe Mixon being there, Joe Mixon did go out at some point, and they still didn't get the pass rush on my man. We can say Cordy Glenn is a big part of what the Ravens is doing this year. But that trade that they made with Buffalo, Cordy Glenn revamping that offensive line is a big part of helping Joe Mixon out and that Bengals team out. And that's my take.
I agree on that, Dom. I definitely agree that the offensive line is better, and that's why their running game is afforded more opportunities. But the offensive line didn't go down when Joe Mixon went down, and Giovanni Bernard was not able to get the same success as Joe Mixon. So I think they go hand in hand.
I got you. But what I'm saying is that they still didn't pressure Andy Dalton. That's what I'm saying. Even with Joe Mixon going down, they still didn't pressure Andy Dalton and Tyler Boyd.
But they didn't have to load the box for Giovanni Bernard, and it gave him somebody else that can go out and cover, that can harass those.
I said they can't load the box, period. The Bengals have too many weapons on offense in the wideouts. Okay, boy. And listen, what they got to do with John, they have no catches. What they have to do for John Ross opens up everything. 8 in the box or 9 in the box with John A.J. Green on the field as freaking sprinter, and that helps out Joe Mixon a lot. I get you. He's not the runner. First of all, Giovanni Bernard is 5'8", about 165, 170. Joe Mixon is about 6'1", 220. Yeah, I mean, so that's a huge difference right there. So Joe Mixon make a runner. He's a better player. What I'm saying is the line, the offense. We've seen it on the best running backs in the league. He has one of the best offense. But being fully healthy, he looks human.
With that being, I like the Dallas Cowboys. We're gonna go right into and the Giants.
How ironic that James just came back on this segment.
Another reason that I wouldn't hit too, but I did see the Giants fan jump in here. Dallas versus the Giants. Who wins?
Close game. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
It's going to be a close game. I mean, just because of a rivalry game, so it's going to be a close game. But I got the Giants winning by 3, so 20-17.
I don't think
Dallas is great.
I don't think he's.
Last minute field goal. Giants win.
All right. So this game, Saquon Day. period. Barkley 2 touchdowns in this game, and the Giants are going. Who do they have to match? Like who on the defense is going to stop Saquon Barkley? And the Cowboys' offense has been in shambles. They're not going to be able to keep pace. Dak's looking human. Zeke, I mean, he's still Zeke, but he can't do it all. I remember the blowouts in the division sometimes too. I just don't believe that they have anything for the Giants this week. I just think that it's a matchup problem. I can't even remember who the Cowboys receivers are outside of who they just signed in the off season. Was it
Alan Harris?
Yeah,
Alan Harris.
So I just don't see this. I don't.
Did anybody want to go before I had to dissect this game?
It's mine.
Hurry up, Stephen A.
Yeah,
Wilcher.
I'll go. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
We got
Okay. I thought James was actually going to say that they was going to blow him out because I think it's going to be a blowout. I know it's a division game, but I don't see where, and I'm not trying to be a Cowboys hater, but I don't see where they are going to be a threat to anybody other than giving Zeke the ball 30 times. And I think the Giants is prepared for that. Landon Collins said it earlier this week that they plan to load the box and make Dak beat them. And with the receivers that they have and the secondary that the Giants have, I think this will be an easy 10-point, maybe 14, 2-touchdown win. If Saquon can get a buck on the Jaguars, D, granted majority of it was one run, but I definitely see him having a great day against Dallas, and I see Odell doing the same thing as well. So I got the Giants winning by at least 14.
Dom, you up?
Hold on.
So, go ahead.
Put Saquon in your daily fantasy lineups tomorrow.
So, it's going to end in a 3-3 tie. That's how it's going. He said a 3-3 tie. Man, just joking, just playing. I said that because James on the day. But honestly, I'm with time, man. It's to see if Dallas is going to score at, man. It's tough for me to see that. Dallas, I think defense is better than people are giving credit. Christian McCaffrey, and that run game last week, man, they kind of like stifled it a little bit. Saquon did have one big run, but I think that the Giants actually air it out this week. I think Odell Beckham and Evan Ingram go berserk this week. I think that they actually blow them out. I think that Dallas only scores 3 points. I think it's going to be like a 24-27-3 type of game. I think the Giants, and I think it's in New York. I think the Giants. It's in Dallas. It's in Dallas. Okay, so Dallas. So it may be a 10-27 game, 10-27 game. But the Giants are going to light them up. I think Dallas is getting to that point where they may be the worst team in football, not talent-wise, but because what they're trying to do. They are trying to make Dak Prescott the face of the franchise. They're trying to make him the guy. Last week, Ezekiel Elliott touched the ball about 17 times. And I think in that first half, they were doing a lot of play action. Like they weren't really giving them the ball. They were doing play action, and the was making like he was looking Donovan McNabb-esque, like throwing the ball in the dirt.
Don't disrespect Donovan.
I love McNabb. Listen, I'm an Eagles fan, baby. The greatest quarterback. McNabb is the greatest quarterback. The greatest until Carson retires. He threw the. He did. He hurt. Dak Prescott was doing. And granted, he don't have no wide receivers. Right now, this panel right now consists of Dallas wide receivers. We can all go out here. Dallas wide receivers.
Williams spot. I'm sorry.
We can all go out here. Dallas wide receivers did on some, like I don't think that. I'm not gonna say they don't have it on their roster, but there's no playmaker, man. There's nobody getting separation. Like that Panthers secondary was not Daryl Worley. Who's the James Mayberry and the rookie, like shut down by them. And now y'all about to go up against Janoris Jenkins and Eli Apple. Like bruh, yeah. Dallas ain't scoring. They might score 10, and it might be garbage time.
What if they give you a heavy dose of Zeke?
Even if they give us a heavy dose of Zeke, that plays into the strength to me of the Giants. They got a run. They got the best run stopper in the business. And Snacks Harrison. And if you're gonna run all day, okay. Then I drop Landon Collins in that box.
He's a thumper.
He's gonna be in the box anyway with those receivers.
Now I also say I don't think it changes anything.
I think it's the score. It does change the score.
Some fans, they to me, Dallas fans are too mild. You smack them in the mouth early, them fans will be quiet all game.
And I do hope it ends in a 3-3 tie. But realistically, I don't see that happening.
Dallas got too much turmoil around them. They got all the talent in the world on the offense and can't do anything with it because they got Jerry Jones out here making proclamations and wanting to be political. And, you know, they got Dak.
They got yes coaches.
Statements.
They got yes men. They got yes
man. Way too much turmoil out there. They got too much going. Zeke's holder was a distraction. Hope that he could come back and put it all back together this year. Just like rubbed it, and they have not recovered from it yet.
Make the phone call to Dez.
Please come
on. Pride ain't gonna do it. Pride ain't gonna do it.
I'm telling you, they need a country. I miss my baby. Please come home. Big pickup trucks and cowboy hats. Dez, come home.
We're gonna move on to another game. The Falcons and the Panthers. Speak Superman. On it.
A few key pieces last week in their defense. They lost their best linebacker
and their best safety.
Right. So
and Devontae Freeman's not playing. So
Superman's gonna be a problem in the run game. Not. I mean, he may do well in the pass game, but they're gonna have a problem with Cam Newton running all over.
Not the black Clark Kent, the white Clark Kent. But I talk about that.
Like what backers do they McCaffrey?
Both went up.
Bigger Darren Sproles. The things that Darren things back in the day, Christian McCaffrey, he's not quite Darren Sproles, but the only reason why he can do everything. So who's gonna cover him? And then he can run the ball too. And you gotta worry about Cam running the ball. And if I'm not mistaken, Funches is back to 100%. I don't think they're going.
Tamon?
I was trying to get myself right. Can y'all hear me?
With
I can't. Oh, come on. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. So, I know that Cam and the Panthers have had a tough time when they go to Atlanta for some reason. I know that Keanu Neal and Deion Jones is hurt. Freeman's not supposed to be playing, but I still think that. I still think
Hello,
that.
Tim.
You hear me? I still think.
Tim, we can't pick you up. Tim, we can't hear you, Tim.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. What I was saying was the Panthers have always had a problem in Atlanta. And even with them missing their linebacker, their running back, and their safety, which are all Pro Bowl quality players, I think Atlanta plays them tough. I think this will be a close game. This will be the best chance for Cam to get a win in Atlanta. They will have to rely heavily on their run game, I think, to win this. I think it'll be a close battle, but I got the Panthers winning by 3.
Hello?
Brief intermission. Stand by. And we're back.
Can keep up, and I believe they're in they can't keep up with them. I think Matt Ryan. The Matty Ice, not Matt Ryan sweep.
All right. Who you got?
I'm going with because I am pro Can. No, not going with Carolina. I'm going with Carolina. Them two big injuries. I think they were two big injuries, man. Deion Jones and Neil. I think not Matt Ryan fan. I think he's overrated. He's very overrated. I even like. I'm going with Can. I'm going with Can.
All right.
I'm telling you, it's going to be Superman in the running game. That's exactly what's going to happen.
But listen, last Cam only put up 16 points against Dallas.
He didn't have to. He didn't have only 8 points. He didn't have to.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. They're not gonna hold. They're not gonna hold Atlanta to only 8 points. Not gonna do that. And they're not going to 8 points, so they're gonna have to put up more than 16 points. Yeah. Julio Jones just destroys them. And I think this is the week that Calvin Ridley gets off.
All right, we're gonna move on. The Chiefs and the Steelers play on Sunday. Big Ben had a really bad week last week. Can the Steelers afford to lose this game and fall to 0-2, or do they need this win?
You mean 0-1-1?
Man, they 0-2. That was a loss, man.
I'll speak on it.
That's a loss.
I'll speak on it. I think
especially when it's the Browns you played.
the Steelers they can't afford to lose this game for the simple fact that it gives away their leverage that they have on Le'Veon. If that matters anything, but I think the biggest matchup is going to be the wideouts from the Chiefs versus the Steelers secondary, and I think that the Chiefs secondary the Chiefs wideout are actually going to win that. So I got the Chiefs actually winning this game.
We're going to say what matchup?
All right. T?
Yeah. I think Patrick Mahomes proves he is the and torches the Steelers. I think that like Taman said, if they need Le'Veon more than they think.